There are so many different types of butters to choose from at the store. Have you ever wondered what's the difference between European and American butter? Let's find out. Butter is made from churning cream into a liquid form, which is buttermilk, and solids, which is butter fat. You'll also get water and milk solids left in the butter. In North America, butter is made to at least 80% butter fat and can be either salted or unsalted. European butter is typically churned for longer, giving between 82 to 85% butter fat. This extra fat is going to give you a richer and creamier texture, and you're even going to get a darker colored butter. Some producers in Europe even add cultures to the cream, which is going to give a more fermented flavor, adding a nice tanginess to the butter. If you're wondering which kind to pick, typically imported butter from Europe is going to be more expensive, but a lot of American producers are creating European style butter, so you can use that instead. Now the real question is, can you substitute European butter for American butter? Typically, because this has more fat, you might see that it's a greasier product, but it works really well for laminated doughs like croissants and puff pastry. I prefer to use American butter when I'm making cakes, pies, quick breads, or brownies. However, if I want to spread some butter on toast, treat yourself and go for the luxurious European style. Does butter actually expire? Let's find out. Butter is composed of at least 80% fat, so it will go through lipid oxidation, turning it rancid over time. The cream used to make butter has been pasteurized, so if you do want to leave it at room temperature for a day or two because you're going to make cakes or cookies the next day, or if you like softened butter to spread on your toast, make sure that you leave it covered and don't leave it out for more than 2 days. Even in the refrigerator, butter can turn bad over time. It'll pick up odors and off flavors and turn rancid. This is how to keep it fresher for longer. Typically, we store butter in this handy compartment on the door. However, this is actually not the coolest place in the refrigerator. You should actually store it in the back of the fridge. For the best taste, butter should be used within 2 to 4 weeks in the refrigerator. However, if you plan to keep it for longer, 4 months in the freezer. Salted butter versus salted butter. Which one is the best to use for baking and cooking? Let's find out. Unsalted butter has a nice sweet cream taste. For better control in your cooking and baking, I absolutely use unsalted butter. That way I can control the amount of salt that I want to add later to the recipe. Salted butter obviously has the salt already added, but the thing is, different producers add different amounts, so you're really not sure how much salt they're adding per stick. Salt added to the butter actually acts as a preservative, so it will prolong the shelf life if you're storing it. It's really great if you're going to finish a sauce, add it to a dish for a little bit extra savory taste, or spreading on top of toast. If you did want to use unsalted butter but add salt to it, here's a good rule of thumb. For every half a cup of butter or quarter pound, you want to add a quarter teaspoon of table salt. It's very fine in texture. However, if you use Morton's kosher salt or sea salt, add 1/3 of a teaspoon. It's a little bit more coarse, so you need more volume. And if you're using super coarse diamond crystal salt, use a 1/2 teaspoon. When you're sauteing foods with butter, when is the right time to add the ingredients to the pan? As you can see, the butter is melting and there's a lot of foaming happening. This is an indication that the water in the butter is starting to evaporate, creating bubbles and making the milk solids foam to the top. Once the water evaporates, the fat can start to heat up to between 250 to 300 degrees. Any higher and the butter is going to start to burn. Once the foaming subsides, that means that the fat is hot and you can add the food. If you plan to use hotter temperatures, make sure you use clarified butter. If you're looking for healthier substitutes for baking, you might be surprised about your options. Greek yogurt delivers a balance of proteins and fat and probiotics. Swap out 1 cup of butter for a 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt. It works really well to add structure and moisture to cakes and quick breads. Nut butters are naturally packed with protein and fat, adding its characteristic flavor to the baked good. You can use almond butter, peanut, or cashew, or whatever is your favorite. It can be used as a 1-to-1 replacement for butter if combined with half the amount of vegetable oil or coconut oil. Just mix it together. Olive oil is rich in unsaturated fats, and if you use a neutral profile, you can add it to a lot of different baked goods. It's great to use in savory applications like bread, some quick breads, cornbread, or even pot pies. Substitute 3/4 cups of oil for 1 cup of butter. Legumes. Each serving is packed with protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and you can use black beans if you're making something like brownie or a chocolate cake, or a lighter bean like white or cannellini for a yellow cake. Beans can replace 100% of the butter, and you're gonna get more of a cakey texture. Avocados. Packed with healthy fats, fiber, and nutrients, you can actually mash this up and use it as a one-to-one replacement to butter. Their neutral flavor works really great for brownies, cakes, muffins, and cookies. Applesauce. It can even add natural sweetness if you're looking to cut down on some of the sweeteners in your recipe. The cooked apples add structure and moisture to baked goods, but it helps if you add a tiny bit of fat so that some of the products don't turn out too dry. You can replace it one-to-one for butter. If it's fall, why not use pumpkin puree? The fiber and nutrients adds a creamy texture to your baked goods and works really well for quick breads, muffins, and coffee cakes. Replace it for 100% of the butter, but remember that the color is going to impact the appearance of your final baked good. Which ones have you tried?